Alright y'all, let's get to it. Let's unbox this Dayton Audio DSP-408. Couldn't decide between it and the Rockford Fosgate DSR1. And I will show you after we do the unboxing, when we look at the software, why I chose to go with this one over the DSR1. Well, actually, I'll tell you one big reason right off the bat is that I honestly, I'm just kind of crazy about some things. The plastic housing and the little RCA ends coming off of the DSR1, quite honestly, that's kind of cheesy. I mean, it really is. Little, I don't know, just like radio type speaker wire with RCA on it. I mean, just that. Anyway. Alright, anyway, so we're just going to simply get a little quick start guide that's going to tell you that there's your input plug for your car power, input plug for your AC adapter, then there'll be a switch for how the unit is going to cut on, and then of course across the top here we're going to have our 4 inputs. I don't know why they say 4. Should just be 2, like a front and a rear, or you know, front, sub. Anyway, so we got our 4 inputs. We got our jack that will be for our data connection. No, I'm sorry, for the wired remote, that's optional. And then we'll have to plug in for our data connector. And then, you know what, that's on the paper side. And to download the software, you're just gonna do a Google search for Dayton Audio DSP-408 software, and it'll come open. So we got a couple little pieces of styrofoam. Of course, it's wrapped in plastic and taped up. You guys are on this journey with me. I haven't even taken this thing out of the box yet. So, I'm just going by the research that I've done. Sorry, microphone's up here. Look at that, a metal casing. It's metal. Anyway, see how nice everybody calls them. We got the Tiffany style RCA outputs, gold plated, and same on the input side. As I was saying, this will be our car power plug. You're going to tell the unit whether if you got a 12 volt remote turn on, whether if you want it to voltage sense and turn the amplifiers on through the RCAs. That's for our AC power adapter, so it can be used for home or car. And this will be for the data connection to the computer, and this right here will be to the optional wired remote controller. Then over here on the output side, they do have an optional Bluetooth dongle. I opted not to spring for that because my goal simply with this, and another reason why I chose the Dayton over the DSR1 is in the setup configuration. I need this right here because I have another signal processor that I love, and it functions perfectly and does what I need it to do. So what I needed was I run front and rear components in my car. Oh, a shocker, whatever, no. But anyway, so I needed a 2-way crossover to run all 4 doors in an active configuration. So what I needed was front and rear in, and then mid-bass, you know, then my front, rear, left and right mid-bass out, and then my 4 tweeters out. And I'll be able to do that here. In the configurations, in the configuration software for the DSR1, it does not allow you to do that configuration. So what I'll do is I'll pull up my phone here and show you that. This is going to be the software for the DSR1. Okay, whatever. Go through this and go through setup. Okay, and then when you get into the car mode for the DSR1, let's just go to the car. So the DSR1 setup would do coaxial front and rear and a subwoofer. Okay, I don't want that set up. That's not the setup that I want. So what else can I do here? Oh shoot, where are the rest of the configurations? Okay, let me go through this way. Okay, configuration wizard. Okay, great. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I was doing it wrong. Configuration wizard. Analog. Okay, got it. Okay, got it. Front and rears. Okay, got it. Okay, so here we get into the car setups. So here is coaxial front and rear sub. That's one setup on the DSR1. And let's see here. Setup number 2, front and rear coaxials and sub again. Oh, I gotta go back. Go back. Go back. Anyway, I accidentally hit it. There we go. Then we can do front and rear coaxial center channel and a mono sub. Nope, I didn't want to do that. So here we got front. Oops. Go back. We got front. Here we go. Front and rear, what looks like components. Front components and what looks like rear. And I didn't want to do that. Then we have what looks like a component and a subwoofer. Don't need that. Then we have component, subwoofer, and a center channel. Didn't want to do that. And if I quit hitting the wrong button, I'd be dangerous, wouldn't I? Okay, so we didn't want to do that. Then here we have what looks like a 3-way component set up front and sub. Didn't want that configuration. Then we have a coaxial and sub. Didn't want that configuration. And the last configuration, coaxials and a center channel front and subwoofer. I didn't want that configuration. I wanted configuration for front and rear components. I'm not worried about the equalization and time alignment of my subwoofer. My sub sounds fantastic. It needs nothing. So I just, you know, and Fosgate did not give me that option. I mean, all those options. And that's the one option you opt not to give in the auto configuration. There would have been a way that I could have went in and reconfigured the stuff, probably to have worked the way that I wanted it to, but I just opted. This is, you know, goes for a lower price and it's gonna do what I needed. And also the I've heard tell, let me back out all this. So I've heard tell of people going on about the DSR1 being a 31 band parametric EQ. Well, I never could get to, okay, let me back out all this again. Okay, well, and I don't know what all these warnings that keep popping up are. Let's see here. Let's go to tune. Let's go to advance. Okay. Now, we're set at 500, and there is, of course, that's up. Oops, sorry. 500, 630. It's 31 it's a 31 graphic band per channel EQ, which is great and fantastic, but it's not parametric as TEL has it. You cannot change the frequencies. 500 is 500. You cannot change it to 550. You cannot change it to 580. So anyway, anyway, back to unboxing the Dayton Audio. So we have our, obviously we have our piece here hidden under this little cardboard flap. This is going to be our power cable for the car connector here, and here is going to be our, I'm going to need this, so I'm going to go ahead and, it kind of almost looks like a standard printer type cable connection, so I guess any of them would work, and that is probably about 6 feet long, so that's good. That's about all I need. Now the car connector for the DSP-408 here is going to give you obviously your let's get it all stretched out here where I can go through the wires real quick. We're gonna have yellow, which will be our constant 12 volts. We will have the red, which will be our switched, and then we're going to have black, which is going to be ground. Now if you're using this as a that's blue remote turn on, and there's black ground. Okay. And if you're using this as a line output converter for a factory integration, it's going to have your standard 4 high-level speaker wire inputs that you can use for integrating into your factory stereo system. We're going to have white left front, gray right front, purple is going to be your right rear, and green will be your left rear. And that's how you will integrate it into your factory radio or audio system. So I'm not going to need this right now, so we're going to stick this back in the package. Okay, good. And here is going to be our power adapter, and that's going to plug into any wall outlet that will allow you to use the system in your home as well. And here comes our little mounting feet and our little mounting screws that you'll just simply screw onto the side, and that way you'll be able to mount the unit. One thing I wanted to do before my battery dies here in my camera, which it is rapidly doing, it's just a flashing and blinking, is I actually wanted to show you guys how these RCAs actually screw on and lock on. When I was talking about the part of the reason why I went with the stingers. Now these are going to have a plastic coating on them, and I can't do that with those, so we're just going to have to grab one of these real quick. Man, my battery's dying a miserable death. Isn't that bad when you try to do a video and you're sitting here watching your battery light flash and you don't think you're going to make it through it? Anywho, alright, so you unscrew that, you push that in there, unscrew that just a little bit and push that in there, and once it's in there, you give it a twist like so. And that RCA is, I mean, it'll come off, but you're going to have to do some force to get it off of there. And besides that, look how beautiful that is. That is going to make for a beautiful installation. Oh, see, that one won't even go on there. So we got to unscrew it out and screw it in and lock it down. Now see, one thing that I like to do on installs, if you guys can see it on camera, is when I do get this put in here, even down to this, the Stinger logos will all be facing up. And that was another reason for going with the 8000s. I don't know why my camera just went completely out of focus for, but it did. Anywho, but that's gonna be, yeah, so I'm good, I'm happy. Alright, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get a chance here, guys, to get a quick look at the software or not. I gotta find it here. So let's move this. Okay, boys and girls, we are back with the Dayton Audio DSP-408. As I hold it upside down, I'm such a good YouTuber. Anyway, there's another look at the unit. It really is a good looking unit, I gotta say that. Anyway, so this right here is the operating system for the unit on the PC. As you can see here, we got our different high pass filters or low pass filters. We got Linkwitz, Riley, Butterworth, Bessel, or Defeat. We got choices between 12, 6, 18, 24 dB, and we can do that on a high pass and a low pass configuration. Down here we have all of our channels outputs here that are completely configurable, which we have the time delay. We can link different channels to each other. I'm just running through this one, guys. Like I said, my battery light is flashing. Makes me another great YouTubulist because yeah, not making sure my batteries are charged up trying to go through this. So we are going to show you what happens. Yep, if you do an initial setup, you will have to have your AC charger plugged in, and that way the unit will power up, because we see not connected up here on the screen. So let's go ahead and power this up, and we have a green power on button, and right here we'll see it says connected device. So that means what we can actually do here is, let's say, file, load DSP. I thought I had one configured as my initial thing, but I don't see it on there. As you can see, I have over here, it says Jeep Bass Tune DPP, so I don't know if I can load DSP. Maybe see, that would have been the last one. So what happens if we hit load? We'll see data transmission. And I have no idea what kind of configuration this is setting up. Now this one here is a 10 band parametric equalizer, and for those of you guys that think that 10 bands might not be enough, let me explain what that's going to do for you. Being a parametric means you can change the frequency to whatever it is that you want it to be. So if you run your RTA and let's say you have a problem, you know, like we were looking at the DSR1 software, let's say you have a problem at 580 hertz, you have a serious spike at 580. Well, you've seen on the DSR1 software we had a 500 and we had a 630. There was no 580, so what you'd have to do would be to play between the 630 and the 500 to maybe, you know, figure out that 580 peak or whatever it might be. This here, what we can actually do is, I'm just going to show you real quick, is like let's just pick an EQ band here, number 1. It says frequency 31. Well, I can go in here and type in 580 hertz and hit enter, and that will be what that frequency is now set at. So if I run my RTA and there's a problem at 580, I can correct the problem at 580. And you know, if the problem is like between 580 to about 600, and well, the Q is adjustable. The Q is basically the hump of which the EQ band affects. So if you have a narrow Q, let's say your problem is dead on 580 to 590, we can set the Q real narrow so it goes like this. And if your problem is like, let's say between 560 and 600, you can widen the Q so that way you can put in like 570 and widen it, and that way you can correct your curve that way. So that's pretty nice. The crossovers themselves are completely configurable, so if you want to put your crossover point at, you know, 72, not 70, not 80, you've kind of done some math or whatnot and run your RTA, did your homework, and your speakers really like 72, well, you can set the crossover at 72. You're not just stuck at 63, 80, 120, 125. I mean, I think the DSR1 was the same way. You can actually pinpoint your frequencies, and you know, different crossover networks create different, you know, kind of has a different curve and a cutoff to it. That's why we have the difference between the Linkwitz-Riley, the Butterworth, and Bessel is typically like a passive crossover, only 6 dB. It's a real long slope you're typically probably not going to use it, then of course we can bypass the crossover altogether. But Butterworths typically have a steeper crossover slope than Linkwitz Riley. So there again, you might have to play with that a little bit to see which one is going to best suit your needs, or ever which one you like the way it sounds the best. And then of course we can fine-tune each channel by muting that particular channel, any channel that we want to, so that way we can you know, tune each channel independently. We do have a main volume source here that will control the output of all speakers. The unit is supposed to have a 4-volt RMS preamp output, and I can't believe my battery light's still flashing and still going. So if the video just cuts off, I apologize. I'm just trying to cover real quickly. We'll really divulge into more in-depth when I go to get it in the car, which I hope to get this car done in the next few weeks. I've got some commitments that I've got to get done. And then of course we do have our time delay. That was another thing I wanted to be able to do between, you know, because in my configuration, my 6x9s are mounted, the 6x9 components I'm using, the 6x9s mounted real low in the door, and the tweeters mounted approximately, and it's also kind of inset in the door. The tweeters approximately about 6 inches, which is where it needs to be from the mid-bass driver, but it's mounted a little higher and it's mounted a couple inches forward. So, you know, I can definitely tell that the alignment between the mid-bass driver and the tweeter is off. I'm hearing the tweeter before I'm hearing the mid-bass driver, and that's creating a phasing issue. But you know, the system sounds pretty good. So, but with this right here, with my time alignment I'll be able to do, I don't suspect I need that much EQ helping. One thing I did want to go over with on the EQ as well, I know I'm rambling, but is if you don't think the 10 bands is enough as well, look at it this way. In my case, it's going to be running tweeters. The tweeters will be crossed over at about 3,500 hertz. So I will have 10 bands of equalization between 3,500 hertz and 20,000 hertz to use. That's a pretty good, I went through it and tried to set them when I went in my initial, when I was trying to think of what I initially might want to kind of put them at. That gives me 4,500, 5,500, 6,500, 7,500, 85, 95, 10.5, 11.5, 12.5, and you know, and any variation thereof. Okay, so you know, that's pretty good. That covers just about all the bases. Mid basses, that one is going to be a little weak on, because they're going to probably be crossed over at right around 70 or 75, and so, and they're going to be going up to 3,500. So in that scenario there, it's, you know, but most head units have a 13 band EQ, so as long as you don't, you know, as long as you're aware of what frequencies your head unit has. So technically I can have 23 bands for the mid-bass drivers, just about. Not 23, I think. Anyway, 14 for the mid-bass drivers, and then I can actually have like 12 for the tweets. But the whole goal with this here is to make this good on the RTA.